Story time. So I talk about my mother a lot. Um, but I thought today I would talk about her passing. October 22nd, 2017, I was at work and I got a phone call from my little sister. And she said, "Becky, I need you to get to Mom's apartment right now. She's gone. She's dead." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Mom's not dead." She said, "No, you need to get here now." So I told my coworker and I got on the highway and I'm bawling hysterically. I'm out of control. And I hear this voice subtly in my head that says, "Rebecca, slow the fuck down. What are you doing? Get the fuck a hold of yourself." And so I got a hold of myself and I got to our apartment complex. And apparently, the property manager found her. And I was there with my sisters and we're talking. And the medical examiner is up in the apartment. And we're waiting for the medical examiner to come down. They didn't want us up in her apartment to view her body because she had been gone for 6 days. And that was not something they wanted us to view. So I have two sisters. One is 14 years older than me. One is 7 years younger than me. And when the medical examiner came down, she said, "I need to speak to Rebecca." She said it's easier if we just have one person have the information and then they can relay it to the rest. So we're standing there and thought, okay. So she's telling me, your mother's been passed. Then they looked all over her apartment and to find evidence of what may have caused it. She had had a urinary tract infection that she let go for too long. She had visiting physicians coming in and they had prescribed her an antibiotic, but it was too far gone and she died of sepsis. And all this time I'm thinking, how did my spirit not know that her passing had occurred? Like, I always thought that I would know the moment that happened because my spirit would know it. Later that night, I got a call from the medical examiner. She was an amazing woman. She had been a medical examiner for many years. And I said, "Why did you speak to me and not my older sister? How did you know to speak to me specifically?" She said, "Rebecca, you're not going to believe this, but your mother told me to speak to you. My mother told you to speak to me." She said, "Yeah, your mother told me to speak to you." She says, "I've been doing this for a long time, and believe it or not, the dead do speak." And when she did not like me going through her things, and it was evident just looking around her apartment that she wanted me to speak to you. Huh? And I said to her, "Look, I thought I would know, like, that my body, I would feel something when my mother passed." She said, "Well, your spirit didn't feel it because her spirit hadn't left you." And I still don't feel it. I still don't feel as though she's left me. And there's evidence of it, her, spirit around me all the time. That encouraging feeling. And I remember driving home from her apartment, going down the highway and crying. And I could just feel her hand on mine, just like, "I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I'm sorry. Honey, it's okay." And I could just know, I felt it. I heard it. I just knew it. And so everyone grieves differently. Some of us feel like there's an expectation that surrounds grief, that if we don't lay in bed sobbing for weeks, that we're not showing that we love the person or that we miss them or that their life mattered and their passing is significant. That is not what I did. There is an intense energy around grief and sorrow. There is an incredible amount of energy that can be used to empower you, to strengthen you and encourage you and inspire you to do the things and be the person that person who passed away would have wanted you to be. They may be gone physically, but spiritually, they are still very much around. And they are still very much wanting to interact or engage and give you the strength and the encouragement that you need. Sometimes we let our grief get in the way to the point where we can't sense them and we can't understand the symbolic messages they're trying to send because they're very much energetically engaged. Sometimes we get so stuck in this, the more we suffer, the more we show we really care. Right? Yeah. But I knew my mom wasn't going to be on that. I knew she was going to want me to be the best version of myself and use her death and her grief and the sorrow around that to be who I was always meant to be. And it started me on a whole spiritual awakening, this whole journey on self-discovery, figuring out who I was, doing shadow work, figuring out what my motivations were, who I was, and healing a lot of things that prevented me from being the best version of myself. And I've never been the same since. So let me be clear, I'm not saying don't grieve the passing of your last loved one, or everybody's grief cycle is different. I'm just letting you know that there's a lot of empowering energy in it. How do you want to use it? How do you want your loved one's death to affect you? Do you want it to be a huge negative gaping hole and a void that you can never crawl out of? Or do you want it to propel you to a space of awakening and empowerment so that you can be the best version of yourself? Because it's a choice we have. And you know as well as I do which one your loved one would want you to choose. Because they very much love you and they very much want the best for you. That's it.